Welcome guys, thank you so much for joining in. So today in this video, I'm actually going to show you a very interesting scenario unfolding right now with Bitcoin and also with Ethereum. But mostly, let's say mostly Ethereum, because right now if you look at the Ether price action compared to Bitcoin, Ether price does looks very interesting. We are going to look at the Ether price later, but let's have a quick look at Bitcoin price action first. So if we look at this price structure, you know, we have already talked about this scenario. We are assuming this price structure, what we are witnessing is to be in a WYCKOFF's reaccumulation phase. And according to this WYCKOFF reaccumulation phase, right now, the scenarios, what we are expecting is more likely a move in this manner, right? A consolidation phase, or also known as this range bound market, and then price taking a longer term consolidation phase before breaking in an upper direction. This was the one scenario which we talked, and the next one was this one example with spring involved, and this spring is going to liquidate all the longs and then start moving in an upper direction in this manner. So these were the two scenarios which we talked on my previous video. I also said to you guys, if this is going to play out as a longer term consolidation phase, the downward target for us would be around 29,000, because the 29,000 is where the monthly candle opened. And if this is going to play out as a spring, I mean a move like this and a fake out, liquidating all the longs here, right, and then moving in an upper direction, then our lower target is where the top CPI line is, and that's exactly around 27,100, 27,200. So these are some of my target to the downside. But to be honest guys, this here is just a range bound market. So this range bound is also known as choppy market, because in this type of scenario the price tends to move up and down for the longer term. And let me also show you this picture here very quickly. So these two examples is what we are actually focusing, but doesn't matter which one is going to play out. This is more likely a continuation pattern, a longer term consolidation phase, and then a movement in an upper duration, because we need to gather more energy here. I mean, this stock here must be taken away from the weak hands, and then the strong hand will carry this movement in an upper duration. So these two examples are what we are focusing on. So now let's also look at the price action of Bitcoin using this Williams alligator indicator and also the CPI line. So on the left hand side, this is Bitcoin USD chart in a daily time frame, and on the right hand side, this is Bitcoin USD chart in a 4-hour time frame. But if you look at this right now here on the left hand side in a daily time frame, you can see the price of Bitcoin did came to find support exactly at the lower line area, this blue line, which is the jaw of an alligator. But what you have to understand one thing is that you can see here, since this crossover has already happened and this green line is already heading towards this blue line area, I told you guys, every time when you see this blue line at the top, right, let me show you here, this blue line at the top like this here, right, and the green line at the bottom, that's a sign of a reversal. You can see here similar scenario, right, when the green line actually cross over this red line or the blue line, and when you see this blue line at the top, green line at the bottom, that's a sign of a reversal. You can see this scenario has unfolded again and again, and what I'm actually trying to pinpoint here is that now this price movement actually does looks like it is going to see a crossover, but not a proper crossover. This means more likely it's going to see a coiling up. I mean this coiling up of moving averages, because right now you can see this lower line has actually acted as a very strong support and also held the price. And now this means there is a more likely scenario of price of Bitcoin to move in this manner. You can see when you see this coiling up of moving averages, you can see the price actually headed in a sideways direction before choosing the trend direction. This scenario has unfolded again and again. You can see here, when we saw this coiling up of moving averages, price tend to move in a sideways direction. So I'm actually expecting exactly the similar scenario also right now with Bitcoin price action, because if we look at this here, this moving average, it's going to be more like a coiling up type of scenario according to my analysis, because according to this WYCKOFF's reaccumulation phase, we were also expecting this sideways movement or the choppy movement at this current stage for Bitcoin price action. So now if we look at this price action of Bitcoin USD in a 4-hour time frame using this monthly CPI indicator, guys, you can see the price of Bitcoin is finding support exactly at the monthly R1 line, this green line, which is exactly at 33,000 price level. And we know this 33,000 price level of this R1 line has actually acted as a resistance, support, right? It has played a very important role. You can see here support and also as a resistance. So now since we are above this, if we are going to find a support at this 33,000, then there is a likely scenario of price continue in a upper direction. And why? Because you can see here, if you monitor this price movement exactly here, this actually looks more like a double bottom type of scenario, because we here have clearly made a new higher lows. So now if the price is also going to break this neckline area, where we previously found rejection, right? You can see here, this was a previous resistance. Now this neckline, if we are going to break this neckline around 33,600 price level and find proper support above that, then this is a more likely move in an upper direction. And if that's going to happen, where I would be looking at is this trend line here. Pretty simple area, right? So this here movement could be getting gravitated towards this trend line area around 36,000 price level. So for that, what we need to do is break this neckline around 33,600 price level. So this is what I see right now looking at this price action of Bitcoin. And now guys, now let's look at Ether price action, because Ether right now looks very, very interesting. So now if we look at this Ether USD chart starting here in a 4-hour time frame, guys, you can see since yesterday the price of Ether has shown a very, very impressive move. And one thing you have to take into consideration, that price of Ether was able to break this previous temporary resistance line around 1440. We went higher, made a new all-time high, and now we are witnessing some sort of a resistance at this previous temporary resistance line, and that is actually absolutely normal. Why? Because if you go backward, just go backward here, this here was a resistance because this was the previous temporary resistance line. If you go backward or downward, you can see another temporary resistance line did actually act as a resistance. You can see here price did found difficult to break to the upside, but once we were able to find proper support, you can see this turned out to be a really nice move in an upper direction. If you go downward, you can see another scenario, this trend line here, resistance, 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 but once we were able to find support above it, we had a really nice move in an upper direction. And this is exactly what we are also witnessing right now with Ether price action. I mean, this price structure could be more likely seeing this kind of movement, rejection around this key level around 1440 again and again. But if we are able to break above it, then this move could be a very, very bullish move. Our upper target, as you can already see, according to this descending bottom wedge scenario, which we talked about yesterday's video, is going to be around 1600 area. So let's see how this one is going to play out. And also, if you look at this price structure of Ether in a bit different way, let me show you this chart. So this here is Ether USD chart also in a 4-hour time frame. What I'm actually trying to show you here is that if the price of Ether does shows any sort of a bearishness or a pullback scenario, where or what kind of scenario would we like to expect? So if this is going to follow this ascending channel right now, you can see reaching the upper line has resulted in a pullback scenario towards the lower line area. So yesterday when we had this all-time high, price came at the upper line area, found a rejection. So if this is going to see any sort of a pullback, then the lower line here could be a very, very strong support. And this lower line is still above this 1050 price level. So if you get lucky and if the price of Ether does shows a very, very bearish scenario, comes around this 1100 or 1050 price level, then this area to the downside, the lower line of this ascending channel, could be a very, very wonderful area to look for any long opportunities. And also guys, if we break above it, find support above it, then this is going to be absolutely parabolic scenario for Ether USD price action as well. And now let me include this another interesting scenario what could also be unfolding right now with Ether price action. So what I'm actually going to do guys right now, if we look at this price structure of Ether using this trend line here to the upside and trend line to the downside, this scenario also looks like it could be forming really nice WYCKOFF's reaccumulation phase. And what kind of scenario or what kind of reaccumulation phase? This one here. You can see here, this is WYCKOFF's reaccumulation phase schematic 3. So according to this, right now, since the price of Ether has broken the previous all-time high and we are seeing some sort of a rejection or the price pullback, where does the price actually tends to find support? At the previous temporary resistance line area. So if you look at this where we are right now, you can see we have broken out of this previous temporary resistance line and now we are witnessing a price pullback. So if the price of Ether can find support at this area of 1360, 1350 and consolidate here, then there is a more probability of a massive price movement here in an upper direction for Ether USD, because this is going to pan out as a very nice WYCKOFF's reaccumulation phase. Let me also show you with the help of this line here. You can see this price movement here, right? Movement here in upper direction, broke the previous temporary high, had a pullback, and then once we actually broke the previous temporary resistance line and also made a new all-time high, now what we are witnessing is a pullback scenario. And this is exactly what is also happening with Ether. You can see now we have broken out of this previous temporary resistance line, and now this price movement is more likely going to be a move in this manner. If we are going to find support, as I've already said, around this 1350 1360 area, then also expect a price movement in this manner for Ether right now. So guys, this is what I see right now looking at this Ether USD chart and also Bitcoin price action. Now let's also have a quick look at Ether Bitcoin chart. So now if we look at this Ether Bitcoin chart in a weekly time frame, you know, I told you guys yesterday, if we were able to break out of this longer term consolidation phase, which was around 0.040 level, this is going to turn this Ether Bitcoin chart completely parabolic, because this here was a longer term consolidation phase, and you can see the upper line actually acted as a very strong resistance line, and we actually attempted plenty of time. We failed to cross over it, but now you can see this Ether Bitcoin chart is clearly above 0.040 level. So now this here is actually flashing a very bullish move, and not just only this breaking out of the upper line of this longer term consolidation phase or this parallel channel, I also gave you guys this one example with the inverse head and shoulder scenario. I told you, looking at the price structure with this inverse head and shoulder, right now this Ether Bitcoin chart has already broken out of this neckline area, right? So now we are broken out of the neckline of this inverse head and shoulder and also this parallel channel. Now this price structure could show us a move in this manner. So we want to know where we are possibly heading. For that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to show you one very interesting scenario unfolding right now here with Ether Bitcoin chart as well. So let me switch the chart. So now if we look at this Ether Bitcoin chart also in a weekly time frame, this was one scenario which we also talked on my yesterday's video, if you remember properly. I showed you guys this example here from Jesse Livermore, this 0.1234567, the 7 was the lowest point, and after this you can see this was a really nice move in an upper direction according to his example. So if you look at this 0.8, 0.9 and 0.10, and now if we look in our Ether Bitcoin chart, you can see 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and now we could be heading towards this 0.8 area for this Ether Bitcoin chart, because according to Jesse Livermore, this price structure could be moving in this manner. From here on, this should be a very parabolic move, and not just only because of this Jesse Livermore's accumulation cylinder or this widening mouth type of scenario here. I also added this another very interesting example. Let me show you this here for better understanding. So this here is an ascending broadening wedge scenario, just like Jesse Livermore's this accumulation cylinder or this widening mouth, this A, B, C, D, E, F structure, right? In Jesse Livermore's there was 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we are seeing this A, B, C, D type of structure. So if this is going to break out in our case as well, the target here would be measured from this point B till this point E area, right? So exact length here to the upside would be our target area. And now if we go back again to our Ether Bitcoin chart and apply this ascending broadening wedge scenario, look at this here. One scenario is an ascending broadening wedge, and another scenario is in Jesse Livermore's speculative chart. So if you look at this through 1, 2, 3, 4 type of scenario from Jesse Livermore, this price structure is actually showing some sort of a movement in this manner. We should see a move in this manner, right? So, and if we look at this through this ascending broadening wedge, I told you just right now, the target would be measured from this B to the E area. So in this case, if this is going to happen, right? If this is going to happen, then our upper target will be exactly measured from this E level, from here, guys, to the upside. So you can see the breakout here will happen around this 0.8, which is exactly around 0.55, 0.56 sats or level. So this is why this Ether Bitcoin chart, doesn't matter how you look at it, is flashing a very bullish or impressive move in an upper direction. So these are some examples I actually wanted to share with you in today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope this video was helpful enough. And if that's the case, guys, then hit the like button. And also, if you're watching this for the first time, definitely hit the subscribe button and the bell. So by saying this, I'm signing out. My name is Anup. Bye bye, guys.